and welcome to the second broadcast of African American Women in Firefighting, Unveiling Voices. It's through these broadcasts we'll be talking to different Black females in the fire service regarding their journey and their inspiration and challenges. My name is Davies, retired fire captain for the city of Los Angeles. I'm the guest host today, and we have the honor of interviewing or talking to the second Black female firefighter for the city of Los Angeles, Karen Lasley Slider, retired firefighter paramedic for the city of Los Angeles. What's going on, Karen?
Hi, Delisa. Looking forward to this interview.
So, Karen, what was like before you came on the fire department?
Life for me was difficult. That's the reason why I chose to become a firefighter. When I first decided to become a firefighter, I was going from job to job after being laid off from a job at Kaiser. And a friend of mine told me that the fire department was hiring. She heard it on the radio. So I, and another friend went down to Westlake, which was the training center where you could work out a few hours after work to build your upper body strength because it was found that most women didn't have upper body strength. So I started going to the Westlake Training Center, and I got chosen to be in a pre-trainee academy. Back then, they had a consent decree, and the consent decree said that the city of Los Angeles had to reflect its population. So if there was 10% Black people living in Los Angeles, the fire department was to represent 10% of Black people on the department, and women and Hispanics and so forth, whatever the population was. And so that's how they had a program going for women when I came on. They basically helped you become physically fit if you weren't physically fit to pass the physical agilities test, which was the next step to becoming a firefighter after working out. You have to take a written test if you're a man. They waived the written test for women. I guess they deducted we could all read and write pretty well.
Pretty much. And that was the truth too, because and then at that time, if you had a degree, you didn't have to. Because
Right.
academically, they already knew you were good.
Yeah, you were able to read material and
Yeah.
glean the information
Yeah.
that was needed. So I took the written test anyway, because when there weren't that many women on, I think there were like 5 women that were firefighters when I came on, and you were one. And so they didn't really need me to be there to reflect the city of Los Angeles. They felt like they were already doing that. So they made it as difficult as possible for me to get on this job. When I went to Westlake Training Academy, the guy that was in charge of it, when I put in my interest card to take the written test, he took it out, tore it up, and threw it away. And a girl told me what he did when I turned my back. So I went back and I filled out another one and I gave it to him and I said, do not tear this one up. And I went and took the written test and passed it. Then I took
I
the
heard that.
physical agilities test and passed it. But I failed it the first time. What happened was,
Well, you didn't know what to expect because your background was more medical, so it's like
more
you didn't know what to
medical,
expect.
housewife, that
Yeah.
easy kind of secretary stuff. So when I became a firefighter, even though I was tall and physically fit, I still had to develop those skills to work with tools and equipment because I
Yeah.
never really had to do that. So when I took the physical agility test the first time, there was a step test first where you had to carry like, I don't know, maybe like
Yeah.
25 pounds on your back, maybe more, and go over some steps for 10 minutes. After you did that, you had to go to a halyard and pull a halyard, which was a rope attached to a building with a weight on it that you had to ring a bell 3 times that shows that you know how to lift a ladder. Then you had to do a hose drag, and you had to drag hose, and you had to attach it to a hydrant. You had to pick up equipment from the ground and then put it on top of a a a a a, a bench, and then you had to take it down and put it back
Yeah,
down and pick
that
it up and put
bench.
it back up. I mean, it was just one continuous test
Yeah.
after another. And so when I got to the halyard, I was that much from the top. And the guys were like, Karen, just bend your knees. If I had bent my knees, I would have rang the bell. But what happened was I was going the way the guys went. I took the written test. I was going to take the physical agility test when they took it because they didn't choose me for the women's program that helps you become physically fit, that helps you get your upper body strength. I wasn't chosen for
Yeah.
that, even though I was going there working out and everything was a free program. And I continued to go. Even after I failed that test, I continued to go there, show up and work out because I was determined that I was going to be a firefighter. And after I failed the test, they realized I was going to pass it next time. They put me in the women's pre-trainee program. And I went through the drill tower by myself. No other women were with me. It was me, football players and baseball players who rooted for me the whole
You
way.
can't. Yeah.
Who rooted for me the whole
Okay, I know what
way.
class you were in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was
That was
difficult. It
crazy.
was difficult. It was hard.
Well, tell us about your medical background, though.
I grew up in a medical household. Our family were all in public service. They basically were nurses. My great grandmother was a midwife. They belonged to the Morning Stars and the Masons. So
Oh,
they
for
were
real?
always in community service. They were always active in the community. So I always had a love for the community. I always wanted to do something. But Kaiser was building, and I was low on the totem pole as far as employees went. And I was the first to go when they made cuts. And when they made cuts, I was doing private duty nursing. I was working at the post office. I was doing whatever I could to keep putting food on the table because I was newly divorced and I had 2 little boys to take care of. So failing was not an option.
I heard that because it's like you can't afford to do it twice. It's like
Mm-mm.
first time, it's like
No, right,
I
right,
gotta find something else.
right. So I just didn't give
That's
up. I just
crazy.
didn't give up. And they saw my determination after I got laid off, that I was willing to work because I had a good resume. I was newly divorced, so I needed the job. It was Quitting
Yeah,
was not an
yeah.
option. If it had been, I would have, because what happened is Kaiser called me back when I got into the drill tower and told me that they would take me back with a raise if I came back. But I'd still be the lowest one on the totem
Yeah.
pole. Yeah, when they got ready to lay off again, I still would have been the ones. I said, "No, the fire department doesn't lay off. I'm staying here."
I heard that. It's a good thing too. What year did you come on?
In 1986, I started trying out, but in 1987 is when I got hired.
So okay. All right, all right. Because I know during 87, 88, and 89, it was like it was just one female in each class. And I was like, dude, I know I've seen a whole bunch more, but it was like it was always one female in each class. So what was your rotation? Because you're basically a valley girl because you stayed out in the valley.
Well, my rotation was Hollywood. Fire Station
Oh, for real?
35
Okay.
was my truck house. My first house was my truck house. My second house was 52s, old 52s. And my
Oh
third
yeah.
house
I
was
like that place.
82s.
Okay,
And I
okay,
would have stayed there,
okay.
but I wanted to promote. So I left there to go to 66's, Fire Station 66, to study for captain.
That's where I met you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where I met you. Okay. Yeah, I had to go over there and ring a doorbell.
Yes, you did, because they were giving me a hard time there. They did not want me there, and they made it obvious that they were gonna make it as hard on me as possible. The only
Boy,
cool thing about it was I was good at all the medical stuff, so whenever and most of the guys weren't comfortable with EMTs, with going to heart attacks, taking vitals, and touching people, especially if they had a disease like AIDS. And I had no problem doing the medical side, so that endeared me to them a little bit. That and the fact that I'm a very good cook.
I know. That was one of the other things too. Once they found out we could cook, it was like, then it was
Right,
on for real.
right.
So, so what other things inspired you to come on to the fire department besides kids and rent and food and all the other stuff? I mean, did you have anybody that was right there talking you into it? Like my boss fired me, so do
The
it.
only person that encouraged me to keep going was my mother, because I came home after the drill tower, after having a hard day, determined to quit, because Kaiser kept my position open. They told me if you don't make it, we got you. You could still come back. So I had a cushion, I
But you
had a
know what?
place to go, but my mother said to me, this is what made me stay. She said, "What if your sons wanna become firefighters? Are you gonna tell them to
That
just
would have been
quit if it
cool.
gets tough?" So that made me
That would have
determined to
been cool.
stay. My grandmother told me that being a firefighter was an option to her when she was growing up. If it had been, she would have became a firefighter. So I felt more like I was an inspiration to the matriarchs of my family. I had to keep going because they kept going. They did jobs that they didn't want to do
True.
that weren't easy for them so that we could have an easier job or easier life.
My dad always said, "Just make it better. Whatever you do, just make it better as you and that's how you honor me." And I was like, "Man, you got right there, bro."
And you
So what
did.
were conditions like when you came on? We
Condition.
had made a little bit of progress, but just a little bit.
I think every station I worked in, if I wasn't the only woman there, there was another woman there that was a paramedic that was there.
Paramedic. Yeah, because they kept us at that time, it was 1 female per station, but they always looked at the paramedics as not a person.
Right.
Persons to them meant firefighters. And so I was like, "That's so weird." But anyway, because it was nice being having somebody there that you could talk to and it's like share shampoo, that kind of
Right.
thing.
Somebody who could
But,
watch your back when you're in the bathroom because they
yeah,
coming in there with you. It helped because I'd have to lock the guys out the bathroom. And I mean, when you have 2 showers or 4 showers and there's only 1 person in there and everybody's dirty and wants to take a shower, you feel like you're inconveniencing them. And I felt like I
true, true.
inconvenienced them. I tried not to. I tried to shower at home if I could, or wait till all of them had showered
Or
before I
get
would
up
shower.
early.
Right, get up
Yeah, or
early,
get up
go to bed
early,
late,
early.
right, all that kind of stuff. But
Because I remember those 4 o'clock showers just so that I could get in and out, and then they could have it from there.
Right,
And it's like you make those concessions just to survive and, to live with those guys.
right. And it
But,
was like living with a bunch of brothers. Your
yeah.
brother, your
What's the
uncle.
go
Yeah, it was very close family because you depend on each other for your life.
Now, were there other females in your area that they were, like, comparing our females to their female type thing? Because I know that
I
used to go
don't know if
around a
anybody
lot.
ever compared me with anyone else. I do know that the guys that I went through the tower with loved me and felt I was more than capable. And I'm sure they spread that word when they got out in the field. And the people
Yeah,
that
it's
I
like the
did
guy. Yep.
meet that were opposed to me in some way or another, I usually won them over. It wasn't too many people that were able to stay sexist and traditionally pig-headed after meeting me or spending much time with me because they see that we don't necessarily want to be men. Because one thing I learned being a woman in a man's job is that equal does not mean same. Just
Yeah,
because I
exactly.
wanna be able to step on the curb doesn't mean that I wanna step on you to get on the curb. It might need a dent because 'cause I'm
But they
handicapped, you know, I mean, I might need to have to roll up on the curb where you could just step on the curb, but that's giving me equal access to the same curb. You
Yeah,
understand?
exactly, exactly,
So it takes a while for
exactly.
them to
So what was
understand that.
and like it's crazy because it's like, okay, you say you need women because of the consent decree, we got women, but then from there they don't process what to do with them after that. And it was like, but dude, snap out of it. And you would think that they would make that conscious effort to make that transition, but it was like they were fighting that too. But I understood their thinking to a certain extent because it was like, dude, my daughter wants to eat too. I don't understand. This is a job. It's not like I'm taking something from you.
Right.
But when you had to deal with fire station life and dealing with your family life, how did you make those concessions in dealing with home and fire?
It was really cool for me because I have a large family. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and my mother lived with me at the time because I was newly divorced. So I didn't have a babysitting issue at all. My mother
Okay.
worked where my kids went to school, so she dropped them off when she went to work and she picked them up when she got off. All I had to do basically was come home, study, make sure the house was clean and the groceries were brought and the laundry was done. She did all the rest. She did all the rearing, and I didn't have to worry about them because she was raising them the same way she raised me. That was a big, big difference. And one of the things we tried to get the fire department, the chief engineer to understand is that single parents need help when it comes to making sure that their kids are taken care of while they're at work. Because one thing about
You know
women,
what?
we work for our kids, we work for our family, and if it interferes with our family life, then you could have this job. That's the whole reason we're
I
working.
remember Yeah. I remember when we came on, it was like Joanne had 2 girls, you had 2 boys, and I had my daughter. And they tasked us with the forming up that maternity leave policy. And so I got evicted as usual, but then you and Joanne, you carried it on. And what other contributions did you provide to the department during your career?
As far as women having a uniform, that's I felt like that was like allowing us to wear earrings when we're on light duty or on a special duty. Those are cosmetic things. I know I appreciated not having to, worry about what I was gonna wear when I got pregnant, and I did get pregnant on the job, and I did take advantage of that maternity uniform. I appreciated being a part of that design, but the changes I really wanted to make would be like 12-hour shifts instead of 24-hour shifts for those of us who didn't need it. Better daycare, some kids having a even a place where they could go to sleep if their parents, had to work overtime or something like that, a station that would take care of them. I wanted more support that way for the families, and I didn't see that coming anywhere. Family leave was pretty cool. I had a hand in that. I was glad about that.
Yeah, because we fought hard for that because they just didn't understand. It was like what the state said. It's like, dude, come on. But you know what? Even though we fought really hard for the childcare thing, it was like they did buy into it, but they forgot about the firefighters. It's like, dude, we're doing 24. They provided it for the everyday people, the clerks and all that
Right.
stuff. And it was right there in City Hall. You
The
drop them off,
special
you pick them
on
up.
special
And
duty
I
guys,
kind
right.
yeah, and I'm sitting there, wait a minute, we're the ones that stood in line and fought for this stuff, and then they're the ones that are enjoying it. But that's okay. The family leave thing did help because they were like, you had to use all your vacation, your sick time, and then what?
Right.
Then
Then you
what?
would be
And
broke.
then my question, yeah, and then my question to them was, okay, so what if my child is sick? Now what?
Right.
I've done burnt up everything trying to get to this one point, and now everything is gone. So now I got to work for no pay, no benefits. What? 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 And it didn't make any sense. And the family leave thing was huge.
Very
It
good.
was really
I'm proud of
huge.
that. I was very proud of that, and I was glad I was able to utilize it.
That's cool too. But you know what? It's funny too because I know that just being a female on the job, did you notice the calming effect? Like when you were on medical runs and things like that, and you were coming in and you walked in the door, did you see the temperature go down? That was the calming effect that I
All it
think that we
took
brought to the
was,
department.
"What's the problem?" And it could be like that. It could be the guys at station because sometimes the guys didn't get along too. They wanted to knock each other out. And I'd step in and say, "Why are you arguing? What's wrong?" And it'll just deflate all that anger. It's okay, well, I really can't explain it, but And then the same thing with me.
Yeah.
I When I was going through my changes, they were there to when I tell them, "I'm
Mhm.
just angry today. I don't know why." They're like, "Thanks for telling me." And they stay out of my way all day.
Line up across the board.
It was a give and take situation. I'd help them with their relationships mostly because they didn't understand women. They said, "Karen, I don't
No, but
understand women." I said, "We don't understand ourselves. You're not by yourself. Okay, just
I
roll
know it's
with
like,
it. Just roll with it."
and
That's all.
there's not another me. Yeah, there's not another me that I can ask. When you came on, did were the braids already in or they hadn't gotten accepted yet? Because I know that me and you both have dreads. And I was like, there's a little bit of history behind that. Because I had dreads on the job and they just didn't know what to do with themselves.
No, I don't think they cared as long as it was up and you were able to wear your BA and all of that. That was one of the hair
Yeah.
standards. It had to be
Okay.
off your neck. As long as you could wear your
Yeah.
BA and your hood, you were cool.
It was crazy because the helmet liner was you couldn't adjust it or anything. I lost 2 helmets in a fire trying trying to ventilate the roof, and I go poop, and
Wow.
so I was having a tank, right? And so that was one of the things too is get a helmet liner that was adjustable, and then I was able to keep my helmet on. I did everything. So then I said, well, maybe if my hair was thicker. it would be better, right? So then I was like, okay, there's nothing that said we can have braids. So that's why I was going to go trying to get some bulk. And then too, my hair kept getting burnt. So I needed to do something, right? And went through the process, getting them accepted and signed off and things like that. And so that's how it got in the books. But it was funny because one of the chiefs, he saw the brace and he was like, um, I don't like it. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, sir, but you're going to have to talk to your brother. He's the one that approved it. And they have a nice day.
Right
And
on.
it was like, and it was just crazy. And then just seeing us be able to utilize braids. Now, did you wear braids when you were on?
I did. I did. It was easy because
I
I could
know
put
I
it in a
did.
ponytail and it was perfect.
And then the other thing we did was to strengthen some of the verbiage. When I was in the bureau, we had to point out to them is you can't have the same hair standards there because there's not a safety issue. So it's like I came in with my little ponytail flowing and my earrings, and I dared them to say something.
They could.
But it was like, yeah, no, and it was like, no. The thing about it is, it's like you're looking at the rules, you're abiding by the rules, but you find out that they didn't read the rules.
Right. They don't have any idea
They
what the
they they
rules
didn't read
are.
the
It
rules.
it would be crazy too
Yeah,
because I would do something, I don't know, have something on or have my hair a certain way. And the guys would say, "You can't do that." I'm like, "Don't tell me what I can't do. I wrote the book. Literally. I wrote the rules. I wrote the manual. You can't tell me I know it better than you do."
I know, and it's crazy because you have upper management, they don't know the rules either. I mean, they stick to certain criteria, and that's what they try to hammer. I said, "But there's section such and such, paragraph so and so
Right.
on page
Women
such and
have a
such."
uniform
It
allowance too.
says
I know you didn't put that page in the
it
book when it
says
was updated, but the rookie did. Ask the rookie.
yeah, it's crazy, it's crazy. So, what allies did you have allies or mentors on the job that help you through your career?
From the very beginning, from the very beginning, there was Chief Orduna, who was the highest ranking Black officer
Black,
in the
yeah.
department when I came on, and he was in charge of training. And when I was in training with all those professional athletes, they were like boogieing up the side of the building, going up and over when we did exercise and everything. And I would always be last. I would always be last. So they called Chief Orduna and they said, she can't cut it. She's always last, right? So he shows up at the training academy and I'm scared because the highest ranking chief officer in the department wants to talk to me. And he says, Karen, when he tells me I followed your career from testing all the way to here, he said, and I hear you having trouble going up and over. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, I don't want you to be last. He said, you're last all the time. I don't want you to be last. I said, sir, I hate it. And I cannot get good at something I hate. I said, I
Oh
cannot
man.
promise you I will not be last every time, but I can promise you I will not give up. And he said, okay, just don't give up.
That's the main thing. Don't give
Mhm.
up because you know what your grit and your fortitude is. And all you got to do is get mad and then it's on. And
Well,
I'm
it worked out
serious.
for my good one
It's
time because they had called, I guess the peer group instructors weren't happy that this girl was about to finish her ladder rotation in the drill tower. And so after we came back from our hose lace from 40s, they called the Board of Fire Commissioners to come out and watch us perform. And of course, I stand out. Instead of us going up and over once, we went up and over twice. So that meant we were extra tired. We were standing in line. One of the guys that was in our group started getting wobbly legs. He was right in front of me. And I told the captain that was trying to show me up to have me eliminated that he better catch him because he was about to fall. No sooner than I said those words, he started melting to the ground.
Mhm.
I'm the one that moved and went and got water to cool him off. I'm the one that told the other firefighters to go get the paramedics from 89s because they're just 50 feet away. I was the one
Yep.
that put the elder, the O2 on him and woke him up. And so when the paramedics got there, they asked me, why was he wet? And I said, I cooled him down by putting wet towels on him. And they were like, that was good because that's exactly what he needed done. Who put him on the elder? I
Yep.
did, you know. They were trying to make me look bad in front of the fire commissioners, and it turned out for my good. It showed them
Mhm.
what I can
'Cause it
do.
was witnessed.
Right.
Yeah, it was witnessed, and it was like, "And your point is?"
They left me
And you know
alone
what?
after that.
It's yeah, and it's crazy because, I know that, when we were trying to do the 25 year, remember we had the little, show at 27's? And we had the truck, the engine, the rescue. We did an extrication. We threw ladders. We do all that stuff. And then when I had everybody come out and stand and unsheath, they were like, "They're all women." I thought that's what
Wow.
the reason why we were doing this. And it was just crazy because everybody was shocked. And I was like, 25-year celebration of women on show. And I was like, I don't understand how they got lost, but it's just amazing they just don't realize our potential and that and they were natural nurturers. And so that would have been a response regardless. Regardless. Because what if it had been a kid? You'd have jumped on it. What if it had been a patient? You'd have jumped on it. But that was you. And you
Just doing what I do,
that's when
right.
they put seal of approval.
We are truly trailblazers, and I worry about the path that we've been walking, that we're trying to keep walking so that the next person that's coming behind us don't have to look so hard for the path, you know? And and that's where my focus is right now. I just wanna make sure that enough women that are young and strong and determined and have focus on the direction and what they want out of life. I just hope they have this opportunity. I just don't want our path to be worn over, like we never walked it at all.
I heard that. Was there a station that you liked the most or disliked the most when you were on the job?
The station I disliked the most, I think, was 41's. That's in
Really?
Hollywood too.
They're so isolated. Yeah, they're so isolated over
I
there.
don't think I disliked it because of the station, I didn't like the crew. It was like I felt like I was their mother, and every day I had to check somebody, and I wasn't. I had came from the valley where I dealt with adults, and then I went to Hollywood at back after leaving Hollywood and coming back, and I was dealing with children. I was like, So that was the
The
least,
whiners.
right. They weren't used to, and it was like, Karen, don't play. Like, don't be asking no questions if you don't want to answer, because she will give you one. And I didn't care who it was. The chief showed up one day talking to me like we were all good friends. I said, you tried to get me fired. Don't even come here like that. I'm not on probation
I
anymore.
heard
I'm not
that
playing with
sometime.
you." Right.
Thinking you forgot. I was
Right.
like, "No, I
Uh-uh.
remember bad behavior,
Exactly.
okay?" Yeah, it was like, "Well, what do you think was one of your biggest contributions to the department? Because 'Cause we've all put our stamp on something."
If I had to say anything, I think it would be recruitment. I wasn't
Yeah.
detailed there because I asked the person who was in charge, you, please don't make me come down here and have to be down here. Just call me when you need me and I'll show up on the weekends, holidays, detail me for a day, but don't make me work here 10 hours a day, 4 days a week. I don't want to do that. And I was fortunate enough to impact enough women off the job who came on the job to stay on the job. And I just want all the young ladies that are on to continue that cycle of, refreshing our memory, refreshing our blood, refreshing the fact that women can do a man's job in a man's setting.
We had to actually We had to actually make recruitment personal. They were just looking at numbers. And it's like, no, it's not like that. I said, you have to think in the concept of that this person that I'm hiring is going to be here for 30 years. I'm looking for a 30-year employee, not one for 5 or 10 or two. I'm looking for 30 years. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. But
Another
they
thing
weren't thinking like that. They were just thinking numbers.
Right. Another thing I was proud of was my nephews died in the fire. They were little boys.
Oh,
And
man.
so I started working with fire prevention, teaching little kids in elementary school about fire prevention. I was Sparky the fire dog on numerous occasions, teaching kids, how to call
It
911,
was
how to
you.
stop, drop, and roll.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
That's cool though. But you know what? I still go out. My sister nominated me to do a presentation uh, at her grandson's preschool, right? So I was like, I ain't got no rig, I ain't turtles, I ain't got no. So I was like, hello, chief.
Right, I need all of
And then
this.
it was pretty cool. Yeah, and so yeah, work with the local chiefs. I was like, because I can't respond, y'all respond. So it's like we work together. And it was like, yeah, that's that mentality. Put that mustache on a girl. I'm
Right.
telling you, and it works for us. So now that you're retired, when did you retire?
In 2012.
Okay. Dang, that was when my grandson was born. I was distracted, so I probably missed it. But what have you been doing since retirement? Because I know you're helping me with the podcast series. And I know you had other things in the works.
Well, I wrote a book about my
Cool,
life in
cool,
Los Angeles and how to navigate Los Angeles and how I became a firefighter. It's called 31 Benny Place. It's
cool.
on Amazon. Costs $5 for an ebook. Um,
Oh, cool.
I'm all about my creative energy right now. I'm studying. I'm an avid reader right now. I paint. I crochet. I
That's right.
travel.
I forgot. Didn't you paint that portrait for Jamie Foster's mom?
No, my son did. I have a lot of artists,
Oh
yeah.
man.
My son did that, and
Okay,
his
okay.
wife. It was his fiancée at the time. But yeah, my daughter-in-law, my son did that portrait. It was beautiful too.
Okay. Yeah, that was really something. And I was it just floored me when that incident happened, but
Yeah,
I was
Jamie's the
glad
only
that made
female
me
that's ever died in action on the City of LA Fire Department, the only
in
one,
LA. Yep.
and she was a
Yep.
rookie.
And a rookie. And I'm still trying to understand. But seeing how dangerous the job is, even though, well, I almost went there. But, there's good things that happen, there's bad things that's happened, there's the explosion that happened yesterday, and you kind of wonder and you start going through training and things like that. So, knowing the danger level that's involved in firefighting, how do you, when you're trying to recruit or mentor people that are looking for this particular career, how do you get them past experiencing that? It was different from me because in the military I saw way worse. So it's like, how do you do it, Kyle?
When people have asked me, am I afraid to go into a fire or am I afraid when there's an incident? It's no time for fear. You've been
True.
trained to act in a certain way, like you cooking a meal in the kitchen. You know when you're gonna make spaghetti, what you need to cook first, you know what you need to cook last.
Yep.
At a fire, it's the same way. You need water, you know you need hose, you know you need ladders, and everybody has a dance that they gotta do. So there's no time to be afraid. And one thing you gotta understand is no matter how bad it gets, you are never alone. You're never alone.
True.
Firefighters
True.
are brothers and sisters that will literally die to protect you. So
Yep.
you could walk
Yep.
down the street, get hit by a car. You could be on a bus. You could get shot going to a concert. I mean, this world is crazy and nobody gets out alive, really. And I say, if I'm going to
True.
go, at least I'm going to go doing something I love for people that I love with honor. So I've never been afraid.
Yep.
I've been excited, but I've never been
I know.
afraid.
Yeah. It's like your training gets you past that because you know that you have a duty and a job, and so it has to get done for the mission to be accomplished. And that's me. And
Don't get me
and when you
wrong.
quit thinking, no, when you quit thinking, then you put yourself a victim as well as the people that are in danger. And it's no, you got to keep thinking, and that's what the training does. It keeps you thinking.
Don't get me wrong. We do see some horrible stuff, and we do have to navigate our job through whatever the tragedy may be, and we have after effects from that. But what I've learned is the sooner we start talking about it and getting it out of our system and processing how we could do it different next time or whatever, the better off we'll be. Because I've been a member of the Critical Incident Stress Debriefing Program, which helps firefighters and paramedics who go to traumatic events process the information and get over it so that they don't have post traumatic stress disorder when they retire.
And that was crazy because they didn't have that previously until things started going sideways. And we're like, but dude, what we see, what we experience, what you expect us to, to
And
handle,
right.
it was, yeah, it's like, yeah, I got to release it somewhere, but that's that traditional thinking is whatever, dude, whatever. But and that was one of the fears about the military is that they were afraid that the military and PTSD, and I was like, y'all don't think that y'all don't have it? It's, I don't understand. You have to do, and I've been at a incident where it was like they almost had to do a field amputation. It just tore off, right? That kind of thing. And it's like you can't sit there and dwell on it. You got to
Right, you
react.
gotta
Okay,
gather the
stop the
parts and
bleeding.
put them together and say,
Yeah.
"Here,
Yeah,
this
put them
goes to the
together,
hospital
try and
too."
save
Right,
them, stop the
exactly.
bleeding. And so it's you're thinking. So it's like, yeah, it's a little bit different. But I just tell them, I was like, rely on your training. You always revert back to your training and you'll never go wrong. And talk about it.
It's important to
You
have
gotta
someone you
talk
could
about it,
talk
and you
to.
have to. You can that you trust to talk to, and they will get you, over that hump. And I know I've been called on a couple of times to talk somebody down, and it was just getting them to verbalize it and to see that it wasn't their fault or it wasn't about them. The circumstances were, hey, out of your control type thing. And they just got to understand that you can't internalize it. Otherwise, you're going to defeat the purpose. But knowing all that and looking at your career, would you do it over again?
Absolutely. Bad
I heard
back,
that.
bad neck, and all. I would do it all over again
I heard
because
that.
I
Like,
have
catch me a little bit limber.
right. I have some stories to tell my grandkids. I've got still a good life going on. Still get paid like I'm working every day, and I don't have to work anymore. That's the best part right there. I get to travel on the fire department's dime for the rest of my life. That's pretty cool.
I was I told Arnett before he died, we were doing, I think that was when they were unveiling the bust at the museum, and he invited me and Michelle there. And he wanted to make sure that we were there because we were always fighting for him and stuff. And I told him, I
Wonderful
was like,
man. He was one of my
I know.
friends too.
We were talking, and I was like, "Sir, I'm just amazed at your accomplishments." And he said, "My biggest accomplishment," he said, "I did 20 years on the fire department and 52 on retirement." And he was like,
Wow, that is
and I want to grow up and be just like you, sir.
right.
52
Because
years
every
on
he got a
on
raise
retirement.
every year. He got a raise every year.
I'm sitting there going, "Yeah, sign me up, please, sign me up." But it is crazy, but yeah, it was an enjoyable career, and you enjoyed it. I know that we had our trials and tribulations, but we overcame that. And that's one of the things that we do. We overcome, we adjust. And what else you got, bro? And that's the thing. That's our mentality. We've been doing it all our lives.
Right,
All our lives.
right. We know anything worth having is worth fighting for, so we're ready. We're willing,
I heard that.
okay? Because we want what's worth
All right.
fighting for.
Well, yeah. It's cool. It's cool. All right. In conclusion, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
And in conclusion, I just like to say that we need more women. We need balance. We need more
Exactly.
minorities for that balance. And I wish that the people that work in the city of Los Angeles actually live in the city of Los Angeles. Because I think with the consent decree, what was so cool about that was when you have to live in a place, you care about what happens in that place. You're not just doing a job and going home. You're doing a
True.
job at home. You're cleaning your own house. You're taking care of your own people, your own family. So that's the only thing I'd like changed.
I heard that.
Thank you for the
All righty,
interview,
my sister.
my
You're
sister.
welcome. We switched positions, but you got your chair back, okay? I'm just letting you know.
See you next time.
Mm. All righty.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the program.